Welcome back, Grey's fans. We have an emotional update today covering both real-life news from a beloved alum and the high-stakes return of Season 22. First, Stephen W. Bailey, best known as Joe the Bartender, has opened up about a private health battle. Bailey revealed on Good Morning America that he was diagnosed with congenital myasthenic syndrome in 2020. This rare neuromuscular disorder causes severe muscle weakness and fatigue. Bailey, who now sometimes uses a wheelchair to conserve energy, says he hid the condition for 5 years but is now speaking out to advocate for ambulatory wheelchair users. He emphasized that he still plans to continue acting. On the show, the mid-season premiere, Skyfall, finally answered the cliffhanger regarding Jo Wilson and her twins. It was a harrowing episode for Link, who balanced a comatose Jo and critical complications with a baby B. However, the show delivered a rare happy ending. After a heart-to-heart with Richard Webber in the chapel, Link received good news. Baby B's condition improved, and in the final moments, Jo finally opened her eyes. Elsewhere in the hospital, romance remains messy. Jules decided to confess her feelings to Winston but arrived too late, finding him with an OB nurse. Meanwhile, Simone finally gave in to her chemistry with Wes. We also saw Bailey supporting Richard as he navigates his cancer diagnosis, setting up an emotional storyline for the rest of the season. Hey, lovely viewers, welcome to our channel Grey's Anatomy Official. Grey's Anatomy actor Stephen W. Bailey opens up about rare medical diagnosis. Grey's Anatomy actor Stephen W. Bailey is sharing more details about the rare disorder with which he was diagnosed and his hope to continue acting amid his health battle. Bailey, best known for his role as Joe, the owner of the bar where the doctors on Grey's Anatomy congregate after work, has been privately living with a rare genetic neuromuscular disorder known as congenital myasthenic syndrome for over 5 years. Bailey, 54, told Good Morning America that he first began to experience symptoms in 2020. I tried to turn my hand with a screwdriver and my entire arm just went into a lockdown situation, Bailey said in an interview that aired Friday on a GMA. After spending several years searching for answers, Bailey said he was diagnosed in 2020 with congenital myasthenic syndrome, which causes muscle weakness and fatigue. The disorder has no cure, though medications are available to help with the symptoms. Your official Grey's Anatomy recap, Season 22, Episode 7. Let's calm everyone's hiatus fears. At the top of the Grey's Anatomy mid-season premiere, Winston Dugu successfully performs a C-section on Jo Wilson and delivers her and Link's twin girls. Baby B gets an assist from an OB who finally freaking shows up. That's good news, right? Yes, definitely. But as Grey's is wont to do, troubling news immediately follows. Jo's heart is still failing. Winston is able to place the pump to, hopefully, correct her cardiomyopathy, but she's still in critical condition and comes out of that or as a mom to twins but also in a coma. On top of the very precarious Jo and Link situation, Skyfall also has some fallout from Richard Webber's cancer, 2 residents making some major romantic decisions, and a patient literally falling out of the sky. Welcome back to Grey Sloan Memorial, everybody. Checking in with the Lincoln Wilson family. So, yes, Jo is in a coma, and her heart is not healing from the pump placement as they'd hoped. It's bad. And yes, both of her daughters are on vents in the NICU, and while baby A is quickly moved to a CPAP, they discover that baby B has a heart murmur. Again, very bad. Oh, did you think I was going to have a third thing here that offered some sign of hope? Well, you're wrong. Everything is bad right now. Poor Lincoln is barely holding it together as he runs from his intubated wife's hospital room to the NICU to be with his daughters, and on top of that, he needs to keep checking in on his other 2 very small children. Link is so stressed and upset, understandably, that he doesn't notice just how many people at that hospital are rallying around him. Ben, Bailey, and Webber refuse to leave Jo by herself. Teddy arrives to be there for Link and for his daughters, offering to help him parse through baby B's heart issues. In fact, at one point, when Link returns to the NICU, it's Teddy who has to warn him that baby B was sedated and put on an oscillatory vent because of her heart issues, which means it's Teddy who takes the brunt of Link's anger for not informing him that this was happening. It happened fast, there was no time to wait. Teddy, of course, doesn't take it personally. Link is hurting, and now, on top of everything else, he feels guilty for not being there for his daughter. It's Webber who finds Link alone in the chapel. Link is not a religious person, and praying really only makes him angrier. He doesn't even know why he came into this room, even though we all know it does seem to beckon the sad men of Grey's Anatomy from time to time. Weber tells him that it's okay to not find peace or comfort in the thought of a higher power. In AA, he says, they have a saying, if you can't bring yourself to believe in a higher power, believe in the people in this room. Link has a room full of some pretty great people. Let them give you peace, Weber tells him. 22 seasons in, and Richard Weber is still out here releasing bangers. Link finally sees all the support he has. He apologizes to Teddy. He asks Ben for help when he needs it. And in the end, he finally gets some good news. Both Baby B and Joe show signs of healing. The baby by finally peeing, get it, girl. Before the episode is done, Joe opens her eyes. Hey, so maybe this storyline does get to end on a comforting bit of hope. Is the pact intact? Over on the romantic side of Grey's Anatomy this week, our residents are learning one of the lessons best taught by the death-ridden hellscape that Grey Sloane so often becomes, just go for it, ya dummies. At the beginning of the season, Jules and Simone made a celibacy pact. They are serious women who are serious about their work and seriously have zero time for sex and the inevitable drama it brings. This pact, of course, was just a vehicle for both women to live in denial a little longer in regard to the fact that they both had caught some feelings for men who would make their lives complicated. Jules and her mentor Winston have been slow burning their romance since last season, and Simone can't seem to stay out of Wes, her hookup, who was the nail in the coffin of her relationship with Lucas. That man is so tall, and he is seemingly everywhere. It has become very obvious that their heads may be in the pact, but their hearts, and libidos, are definitely not. When an emergency rolls in and Jules learns that the victim, Graham, who is suffering from severe burns and internal bleeding, was attempting a skywriting proposal for his girlfriend of just 8 weeks, she couldn't roll her eyes harder. This guy, a rope course instructor who has had his pilot's license for just 4 months, is ridiculous, and there's no way his very put-together lawyer girlfriend Fiona would ever say yes. And then, Jules meets Fiona. Fiona is deeply in love with Graham. She is beside herself that he got hurt trying to propose. She didn't need some big gesture, she would have said yes. She explains to Jules that most people don't understand their relationship, but that doesn't matter, it makes perfect sense to her. And when Graham ultimately succumbs to his injuries, Jules watches as a devastated Fiona collects her dead boyfriend's things. The tragedy inspires Jules, who cares if being with her attending mentor will make things complicated or if people might judge her. Jules has feelings for Winston, and she needs to act on them before it's too late. She rushes over to Joe's, where she is about to unload her feelings to Winston, but finds him happily sitting at the bar getting a drink with a very cute OB nurse named Iris. Jules isn't falling to her death from a prop plane or anything, but she may have very well missed her chance with Winston. Simone also finds herself inspired to take action that day, and it comes from a surprising source, Benson Quan. I mean, this man seems to have terrible decision-making skills when it comes to women, but Simone has honestly been desperate to find any reason to finally revisit her time well spent with Wes. Quan and Mohunty apparently had a very satisfying evening together following their elevator makeout. A woman doesn't make waffles for mediocre sex, okay? Quan insists to Simone that he and Mohunty aren't serious, this is supposed to be fun. But Simone, hung up on how things fell apart for her and Lucas, advises her roommate that workplace relationships can't just be fun. When you sleep with someone you work with every day, there is no way it can't be serious. He needs to make some sort of gesture to show Mohunty he understands this rule. Simone is nearby when Mohunty gets the flowers, so she has a front row seat to Mohunty's confused reaction. Mohunty thought she and Quan were on the same page, that this was just supposed to be fun. Simone completely read Quan's situation wrong. Quan and Mohunty seem to be just fine after an awkward conversation that only serves to endear the resident to our new plastics fellow. They will continue having unserious fun for the foreseeable future. Simone, however, has her world rocked a little. Maybe a workplace relationship can be fun? Maybe she doesn't have to take her attraction to Wes so seriously? The next time she sees him, she pulls him into an on-call room and finally gives in to her feelings. Something tells me this thing with Wes won't remain carefree for long, but for now, Simone is finally going for it. That pact? That pact is so not intact anymore. Gray Sloan Memorial, where the doctors get involved. The doctors at Gray Sloan just love to get emotionally attached to their patients, don't they? Many times, this is because they already happen to know their patients, as with Miranda Bailey's problem this week. Weber isn't her patient, exactly, but she is the only one who knows about his pancreatic cancer diagnosis, and that puts a lot of pressure on her to make sure he's not living in denial. He doesn't even know what stage his cancer is, and he needs more blood tests, but he's been slow to do anything about it. She thinks he's stubborn, and he thinks she's butting in where she doesn't belong. But Bailey isn't one to give up, and Weber just shared that very heartfelt moment with Link about letting the people who love you give you support, and in the end, he has Bailey take blood for him so he can get additional tests. He's hearing what she's saying. While that relieves some of the stress Bailey's feeling, she's also worried about Joe. It certainly doesn't help that in the middle of everything, she is the one in the room when Joe goes into VTach. Ben and Winston eventually arrive, and Winston simply needs to adjust Joe's pump, but it's a scary moment, and Ben can see that Bailey is about to lose it. Once Joe is on the mend, he tells Winston he can take over, and Winston, good on him, can pick up that these two need some time alone. Bailey's having a panic attack, and Ben can see it in her eyes. He holds her hands as he has her name sounds she can hear. When that's not enough to ground her, he holds her close and talks her through it until she can breathe again. When Joe finally wakes up, I hope Bailey was the first person Link calls. The woman deserves to know. While Bailey's at Gray Sloan stressing over patients she already cares about, Lucas Adams is possibly getting involved in the traditional Grey's Anatomy "I'm getting too involved with my patient, and feelings are getting blurry" storyline. Bailey's stage for cancer patient Katie is set to begin her clinical trial, until Lucas, who you will remember asked Bailey to stay on Katie's care team throughout her entire treatment, discovers her first dose of medication is expired. Bailey, clearly stressed enough, wants Lucas to handle the problem. This means it is Lucas who drives Katie over to a hospital in Tacoma where they have the same drugs available. The out-of-hospital adventure bonds doctor and patient. After a popped tire delays them further, Katie schools Lucas in having some bedside manner and eventually opens up about just how difficult this has all been. The cancer sucks, obviously, and she feels terrible all the time, but sometimes even worse is the emotional toll. Not only is she grappling with the fact that there's a good chance she could die, but her two best friends have ghosted her, claiming they are giving her space. She's never felt more alone. Of course, our brooding but kind-hearted little sweetie takes this to heart. When Katie's all set up for her drug infusion, Lucas could leave, but he sits with her the entire time. He even watches Sleepless in Seattle with her, although he doesn't exactly seem like a rom-com guy. As he drives her home, she talks about being jealous of Tom Hanks' character in the movie because he lives on the water in a houseboat in Seattle. She doesn't live far from the water but hasn't been to see it in so long. It's gorgeous. She misses it. "What are you doing right now?" he asks her. He thinks they should go see the houseboats right now. And so, they do. I don't exactly know where this storyline is headed, but I'm not thinking about Denny Duquette, if you know what I'm saying. Grey's Anatomy preview reveals what's next for Joe and the twins. The mid-season premiere for Grey's Anatomy finally answered the question fans have had for months about what would happen to Joe Wilson, Camilla Luddington, and her twin babies as she underwent a difficult heart operation and a C-section. At the end of Thursday's, January 8th episode, the surgeon-turned-OB resident slowly woke up in recovery, while her twins also bounced back in the NICU from their individual birth complications. Now, a preview for next week's episode reveals what's next for all three of these ladies. In the above embedded teaser for the episode, titled "Heavy on Me," things flash forward a week after Joe has awoken from her surgery and gets to finally spend some time with her twins, who are still in the NICU, as well as Link, Chris Carmack. After a season full of turmoil and close calls for this growing family, the sight of her sunny smile as she rolls in to meet them is a welcome sight indeed. Elsewhere in the teaser, we get a first glimpse at the episode's high-profile guest star, Jamie Lynn Sigler. The Sopranos alum joins the show as Dr. Laura Kaplan, a urologic oncologist who appears to be brought to the hospital by Catherine Fox, Debbie Allen, to consult with a very reluctant Richard Weber, James Pickens Jr., about his prostate cancer diagnosis. Sigler's character is also expected to have multiple sclerosis, which is a reflection of the actress' real-life condition. We also see that Miranda Bailey, Chundra Wilson, will get an unexpected assist on a seemingly hopeless tumor patient from Owen Hunt. Kevin McKidd, who's now looking for some. The official description for the episode also tells us that it will find Jules Millen, Adelaide Kane, struggling with her feelings for Winston Dugu, Anthony Hill. Last we saw, she was rushing into Joe's bar to belatedly take him up on his offer to meet for drinks, but she was too late. He was already sharing some smiles with the OB nurse who'd helped him successfully deliver Joe's twins. Will these two finally get together? We'll have to wait and see. Grey's Anatomy's return was just brutal for Link, but there's a funny story behind why my favorite moment had to be Res Hot. Spoiler alert. This story discusses the Grey's Anatomy mid-season premiere that aired on January 8th. If you're not caught up, you can avoid spoilers by streaming the episode with a Hulu subscription. Grey's Anatomy Season 22 has officially resumed on the 2026 TV schedule, picking up right where it left off in November, with Joe Wilson flatlining during an emergency C-section. Just like Camilla Luddington warned us, Skyfall was more brutal than the fall finale, particularly for Link, who was in agony running back and forth between his unconscious wife and the babies in the NICU. Amidst the stress, though, Chris Carmack recalled a funny story about why he had to redo one of his more emotional moments. By the end of Skyfall, it seemed like Joe and both babies had all turned a corner and would be okay, but for the majority of the Grey's Anatomy episode, there was very little encouraging news for Link to hold on to. That changed when Baby B, who was having heart problems. It's funny that scene at the end, when she pees, it is such a relief to Link. It's the first thing that has gone right in ages. It's the first sign that his daughters might come out of this. Chris Carmack gave a great performance, with Link being exhausted from not sleeping and overwhelmed that not only did he have Joe and the twins to worry about, but their other children, Luna and Scout. Also, his anxious realization that he'd forgotten to call into work was so real and absolutely broke my heart. That's why when Baby B finally showed signs of improvement, Link had such a strong reaction. The actor said, "I remember on camera, my first reaction, I was so excited. And of course, everyone came in, they were like, just remember, it's the NICU. I had to layer that onto that moment. But it was a moment of exuberant joy. I love that Chris Carmack's instinct was to celebrate in a way that must have been deemed too rowdy for the other babies and parents in the NICU, but the shot they landed on, however dialed down it was from that original take, ended up being my favorite part of the whole episode, especially when he high-fived that nurse. You've never seen a prouder pop, and it was palpable in that moment how desperate Link was for a win. With Joe seemingly out of the woods, hopefully she and Link will give Baby A and Baby B some actual names sooner than later. Any guesses as to what those will be? I'm officially putting money on a Winnie, for one of them, in honor of Winston for saving their lives. Grey's Anatomy likes to do that kind of thing. This episode was a big ball of nerves, and I'm ready to see what's coming next, especially with Kim Raver teasing messy things to come and Kate Walsh making her return in a couple of weeks. Catch new episodes at 10 p.m. Eastern Time Thursdays on ABC and streaming the next day on Hulu. Grey's Anatomy's mid-season premiere confirms fate of Joe and her babies after premature C-section. Grey's Anatomy's mid-season premiere January 8th revealed whether Joe Wilson and her and Atticus, Lincoln's twins, survived their emergency premature C-section. Grey's Anatomy fans may need some supplemental oxygen after the stress of its mid-season premiere. After the medical drama's Season 22 fall finale left off with the fate of Camilla Luddington's Dr. Joe Wilson up in the air following the emergency C-section of her twins, the mid-season premiere kept fans on the edge of their seats until the very end of the January 8th episode. Indeed, things are not well at Grey Sloan Memorial, for Joe's husband Dr. Atticus, Lincoln, Chris Carmack, in particular, when the show picks back up following the cliffhanger in the last episode. Although Joe is alive, she is still in a coma on ventilator and their baby girls, nicknamed Baby A and Baby B, are also in critical condition. The somber tone continued throughout the episode, with Link even visiting the hospital chapel, an infamous Hail Mary played by Grey's Anatomy characters throughout the series. However, Dr. Richard Webber, James Pickens Jr., comforted Link through his difficult moment in a heartfelt scene. "I'm biased, but you and Joe have some great people around you," Webber told Link. "In this time of doubt, let them give you peace. Luckily, things took a hopeful turn after Link visited his daughters in the NICU again later in the episode. After a sweet speech to the twins about meeting their older siblings Luna and Scout, one of the babies finally peed on her own, proving the preemies were making progress in their recovery. Later, Dr. Ben Warren, Jason Winston George, met Link in Joe's hospital room, explaining that she was also on the up and up. To celebrate the happy news, Link sat down next to Joe, who is still unconscious, to tell her about the twins. "I know it doesn't make sense, but Baby B looks just like Luna," he told her. "Baby A, she's got this way of scrunching up her nose like you do when you think I'm talking too much." This prompted Joe's eyes to flutter, and the episode ends with her opening her eyes fully, as Link asked, "Joe?" While a total roller coaster, Joe and Link's journey to welcoming their babies barely scratches the surface of high-pressure Grey's Anatomy episodes. Keep reading for more from Booty Call to Boss. Incoming surgical intern Meredith Grey, Ellen Pompeo, was thrown for quite a loop in Grey's Anatomy's series premiere when she learned that the hunky one-night stand she picked up at the bar played by Patrick Dempsey was actually her new boss, renowned surgeon Dr. Derek Shepherd. Oops. Addison's arrival. Fans were just as stunned as poor Meredith in the season 1 finale when Addison Montgomery, Kate Walsh, waltzed into Seattle Grace and right up to Mare and Derek, introducing herself with the now iconic, "You must be the woman who's been screwing my husband." Bombs away. When Grey's Anatomy was given the Plum Post Super Bowl slot in its second season, fans watched tensely as Meredith decided to shove her hand into a body cavity containing a live explosive to keep it from detonating. And just as we began to breathe a sigh of relief when Bomb Squad Chief Dylan, guest star Kyle Chandler, began to walk away with the removed explosive, it blew, taking the poor guy out in the process. Denny's demise. Fans watched as Izzy, Katherine Heigl, fell in love with the effortlessly charming Denny Duquette, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, as he awaited a much-needed heart transplant throughout the second half of Season 2, falling for him right along with her. And when her wild plan to cut his LVAD wire to move him up the transplant list failed spectacularly, resulting in his death in the season finale, it was confirmed that Grey's Anatomy was not here to give us the happy endings we wanted. Meredith's near-death experience. What was more surprising during Season 3's big ferry accident, Meredith nearly drowning after being knocked into freezing cold waters at the accident site, or her later admission that she'd given up trying to survive? Joe's fate still isn't entirely certain by the time we get to the end of Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 7, Skyfall. It's an emotional episode, but it falls flat in too many areas. Winston and Ben work to deliver Joe's twins and to save her in the process, which creates a good bit of suspense, but it's ultimately rushed. The episode also doesn't spend as much time dealing with the question of her fate and the effect on the doctors as it should. That's not to say it doesn't do this at all. Link obviously struggles, and it's heartbreaking to see him going back and forth between Joe and his new baby daughters, one of whom also has a health issue. On top of that, Bailey has an anxiety attack after not being able to help Joe in a moment of crisis. She's carrying a lot, too, because it's not just Joe, she's also dealing with the weight of knowing Richard has cancer. Yet, the episode feels disconnected at a time when it should be more so, and that seems to have a lot to do with the fact that the relationships on the show are so separated. There's no longer a real central friend group. The interns have that a little, but not really. So the emotional stakes of Joe being in critical condition aren't affecting everyone in the same way. It feels like a real missed opportunity. Teddy stepping in to help support Link is nice to see, and there's also a sweet moment of support from Richard. Even those moments have some disconnect, though. The good news is that Joe's condition seems hopeful, and by the end of the episode, she opens her eyes. Meanwhile, Lucas bonds with Bailey's cancer patient, Katie, who is now part of a clinical trial. Bailey insists he take her to another hospital when she's not able to receive her treatment there, and the two start developing a friendship in the process. There's growth for Lucas here as well, which Katie points out directly. She points out there's a lot he doesn't know, despite being a doctor. When she opens up to him about how hard everything has been, he realizes that's true. Something like that was needed for Lucas at this point, and the road trip itself works well to make that happen. Granted, I'm a little nervous about Lucas connecting too much with this patient, but it wouldn't be Grey's Anatomy if relationships between doctors and patients didn't get complicated now and again. Back at the hospital, there's a trauma patient with a tragic ending. In the midst of skywriting a proposal to his girlfriend, the plane a man is using crashes. There's some debate among the doctors as to whether the patient's proposal would have worked or not, with Jules firmly feeling like the gesture was over the top and that his girlfriend, a lawyer, wouldn't possibly say yes. She's wrong, it turns out, but unfortunately, the story doesn't get that happy ending, and he dies from his injuries in the crash. This ultimately seems to be a lesson for Jules, who has been putting up emotional walls and realizes she shouldn't be. But when she takes that lesson as a sign to go see Winston, that night after all, it appears she's too late. He's already talking with another woman. Romance is the theme for the other interns as well, with Blue having slept with Dr. Mohunty and Simone wrongly encouraging him to make a romantic gesture. Awkward, but this ultimately works out, and Simone deciding to stop pushing Wes away. Jesse Williams joins Tim Allen's ABC sitcom, shifting gears after Grey's Anatomy return. Jesse Williams is remaining at ABC after his surprise return to Grey's Anatomy, with a recurring role on Tim Allen's Shifting Gears. Williams, 44, will appear in the second half of Season 2, according to Variety. His character, Andy, is described as a single dad who frequents Riley's coffee cart and has eyes for Riley too. Williams is likely playing Kat Dennings' love interest, which would further complicate Riley's secret feelings for Gabriel, Sean William Scott. His addition to the hit sitcom comes after Williams reprised his role as Dr. Jackson Avery on Grey's Anatomy. In an episode that aired last month, Jackson was seen back at Gray Sloan Memorial Hospital in Season 22. Williams previously reprised the role of Jackson in Season 21 alongside his on-screen love interest Sarah Drew, who played Dr. April Kepner. Viewers tuned in to watch Jackson and April's love story on the medical drama until Drew, 45, was let go from the show in 2018 after 9 seasons, alongside co-star Jessica Capshaw, Arizona Robbins. Iconic guest stars on Tim Allen's Shifting Gears, from Home Improvement to A Last Man Standing alums. The characters of Arizona and April are permanently woven into the fabric of Grey's Anatomy thanks to the extraordinary work of Jessica Capshaw and Sarah Drew, then showrunner Krista Vernoff said in a statement at the time. As writers, our job is to follow the stories where they want to go, and sometimes that means saying goodbye to characters we love. It has been a joy and a privilege to work with these phenomenally talented actresses. I directly impacted the dialogue, especially the episode a couple of weeks ago with me going to find my dad. I was directly involved in all of that language, Williams told Entertainment Weekly at the time about helping create his exit. I know the character as well as anybody. People come and go, some writers come and go, directors come and go, but I'm that character all day, every day. So it's just really beautiful for that to be acknowledged, and to feel included. It's a privilege. Williams was thankful for the chance to contribute creatively to Jackson's exit from Grey's Anatomy. Which Shifting Gears stars are, and aren't, returning for Season 2 of Tim Allen's sitcom. I feel really honored by having the opportunity to really form a story with our writers that honors the character and the characters around him, that world, and also has a connection to the real world, he added. It really marks a journey for him, particularly the personal element to the role with his father and really digging into self-improvement. That really impacted me. Shifting Gears, meanwhile, has followed Dennings Riley as she goes through a divorce while considering a potential future with Gabriel. Riley is literally hours out of her marriage. She should really pull it back a little bit, march about Riley's future with Gabriel. She's been separated for a long time and she hasn't been emotionally in this relationship. But still, she just got out of a very long relationship. She continued, she also really loves Gabriel as a friend. So I think there's lots of reasons for the slow burn. Grey's Anatomy mid-season return reveals if Jo and her babies survived premature C-section. The Grey's Anatomy mid-season premiere revealed whether Camilla Luddington's pregnant character, Jo, survived or died after having to deliver her babies early in a premature C-section. During the Thursday, January 8th, episode of the hit ABC series, Jo remained unconscious after undergoing surgery to welcome her twins early amid heart issues. They were each put on ventilators in the NICU, with baby A thriving while baby B wasn't in the clear just yet. Link, Chris Carmack, watched over the newborns while also checking in on Jo, who wasn't getting any better. There was concern that she would even need a heart transplant, but the episode ended with one of the babies peeing on her own and Jo opening up her eyes for the first time since the high-risk surgery. Elsewhere in the episode, Simone, Alexis Floyd, hooked up with Wes, Trevor Jackson, while Quan, Harry Shum Jr., navigated his new normal with Kavita and Anita Kalathara, as they figured out their situationship. Lucas as Nico Taro, helped Bailey, Chandra Wilson, on a case with Owen, Kevin McKidd, and Teddy, Kim Raver, also featured in the mid-season return. I've had conversations with some of the cast, but they all know it's a Grey's Anatomy cliffhanger and they know every year they never know what to expect. They're here for it. They like to keep our stories exciting and fresh, showrunner Meg Marinas told The Hollywood Reporter in May 2025. But even in the last 2 seasons with what you saw this year, we had to reduce the cast a little bit because of industry-wide budget cuts, and everybody has very passionate feelings about their favorite characters. She continued, but if we can get the writers upset then we know we're doing it right. It's not as satisfying a story if people aren't upset when someone leaves. It's supposed to make people upset and sad, so I'm sure there'll be some arguments. But I've been persuaded before to change my mind on things. Which TV shows are renewed in 2026 to 2027? Get the status of your favorite series. It was previously reported that original cast members Wilson and James Pickens Jr. were contracted to return for the season. McKidd, Raver, Katarina Scorsone and Luddington were also under contract to appear if their characters aren't written off. Grey's Anatomy is Season 22 makes it mid-season return tonight. Here's how to watch Free Winston and Ben fight to save Jo's life in a new episode of A Grey's Anatomy, Season 22 airing on Thursday, January 8th. The new episode will air at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. Those without cable can watch the show for free through Fubo TV or DirecTV, each of which offers a free trial to new users. Sling is another option for streaming the show and promotional offers are available. Watch Grey's Anatomy for free on DirecTV. The new season picks up after Season 21 ended in a catastrophic hospital explosion, leaving the Grey Sloan staff to save not only themselves but their patients, too. For those who don't know the series, Grey's Anatomy is a high-intensity medical drama that follows a team of doctors at Grey Sloan Memorial Hospital who are faced with life-or-death decisions daily. They seek comfort from one another, and, at times, more than just friendship. Together, they discover that neither medicine nor relationships can be defined in black and white. Ellen Pompeo returns as Meredith Grey, Chandra Wilson as Miranda Bailey, James Pickens Jr. as Richard Webber, Kevin McKidd as Owen Hunt, Kim Raver as Teddy Altman, Camilla Luddington as Jo Wilson, Katarina Scorsone as Amelia Shepard, Kelly McCreary as Maggie Pierce, Chris Carmack as Atticus, Link Lincoln, Jake Borelli as Levi Schmidt, Richard Flood as Cormac Hayes and Anthony Hill as Winston Dugu. In the mid-season return, Winston and Ben fight to save Jo's life, Teddy supports Link, Owen and Jules battle to save a young man, and Lucas forms an unexpected bond with a patient. Below is a look at the new episode of Grey's Anatomy from TV Promo's YouTube channel. How can I watch A Grey's Anatomy without cable? Those without cable can watch the show for free through Fubo TV or DirecTV, each of which offers a free trial to new users. Sling is another option for streaming the show and promotional offers are available. What is Fubo TV? Fubo TV is an over-the-top internet live TV streaming service that offers more than 100 channels, like sports, news, entertainment and local channels. It offers DVR storage space, and is designed for people who want to cut the cord, but don't want to miss out on their favorite live TV and sports. Fubo TV offers up to $30 off your first month. What is DirecTV? The streaming platform offers a vast array of content, including the best of live and on-demand streaming, with over 75 live TV channels to get started. Grey's Anatomy Season 22 release date, cast and latest news. The series returns with a high-risk C-section for one of the Grey Sloan doctors. Grey's Anatomy Season 22 is heading back to our screens this week, following its mid-season hiatus, and fans are eager for answers on a major cliffhanger from the previous episode. Indeed, there's no shortage of unresolved plot threads to pick up, but the biggest by far is the life-threatening health crisis that Dr. Jo Wilson, Camilla Luddington, now finds herself in, following complications from her twin pregnancy. Earlier this season, fans were devastated to see Dr. Monica Beltran, Natalie Morales, killed off in dramatic scenes, but the loss of Dr. Wilson would arguably be an even tougher blow given that she's been part of the show for far longer. Addressing what has kept her around for more than a decade, Ludington told The Wrap, "It's storylines like this that we're playing right now, because it continues to push us, it keeps us on our toes, and they are incredible. There's always something around the corner, there's always a revelation, there's also fun to play or something heartbreaking to play. So that's the writers, and by the way, the fact that they've kept me up until this point is incredible. I am so grateful for all the seasons that I've had on the show," she added. But is that a farewell remark? Tune in to Grey's Anatomy this month to find out. Here's everything you need to know about Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Part 2. Grey's Anatomy Season 22 release date, when does it return? Grey's Anatomy Season 22 will return from its hiatus with Episode 7 on Thursday, January 8th, in the US via ABC, and Friday, January 9th, in the UK via Disney+. Fans based outside of the United States will be pleased to hear that they only have a brief wait before episodes land on this side of the pond, as there will no doubt be plenty more spoiler-y reveals to come in the next batch. Grey's Anatomy Season 22 episodes, how many are there? Grey's Anatomy Season 22 will consist of 18 episodes in total. That means, at the time of writing, we're less than halfway through the season, and already so much has happened. Grey's Anatomy Season 22 cast, who's returning? Ellen Pompeo will continue to feature in Grey's Anatomy Season 22 as narrator and a top-billed cast member, although her on-camera appearances will be limited to just 7 out of 18 episodes. The medical drama shocked fans with its Season 22 premiere, which unexpectedly killed off Dr. Monica Beltran, played by the Beast in Me star Natalie Morales, who had joined the show just a couple of years earlier. Reacting to her character's untimely fate, Morales told Deadline, "It was obviously a mix of things. I've been so lucky to be a part of this show, and I feel very grateful to have been a part of it. I think the fandom of this show has been so kind to me and so welcoming, and I think those people that have been welcoming to me are going to be pissed. I'm sorry about that." Grey's Anatomy actor Stephen W. Bailey opens up about rare medical diagnosis. Grey's Anatomy actor Stephen W. Bailey is sharing more details about the rare disorder with which he was diagnosed and his hope to continue acting amid his health battle. Bailey, best known for his role as Joe, the owner of the bar where the doctors on Grey's Anatomy congregate after work, has been privately living with a rare genetic neuromuscular disorder known as congenital myasthenic syndrome for over 5 years. Bailey, 54, told Good Morning America that he first began to experience symptoms in 2020. "I tried to turn my hand with a screwdriver and my entire arm just went into a lockdown situation," Bailey said in an interview that aired Friday on a GMA. After spending several years searching for answers, Bailey said he was diagnosed in 2020 with congenital myasthenic syndrome, which causes muscle weakness and fatigue. The disorder has no cure, though medications are available to help with the symptoms. Bailey first shared his diagnosis publicly on social media on January 2, writing in part, "Out of career caution, diagnostic uncertainty, and being private about such things in general, I have been hiding my battle with this disease for over 5 years. Time to stop." Due to fatigue, Bailey now uses a wheelchair for some activities. Moving forward, Bailey said he would like to continue acting. "Most of the stuff I usually do on film, I can still do. I just get tired quicker and I might need to move around the set on the wheelchair just to save my energy for the scene itself," he said. Bailey said that by sharing his diagnosis publicly, he hopes to bring awareness to wheelchair users, including more representation in movie and television roles. "I think there's a real opportunity to show people on screen who are like me, ambulatory wheelchair users," he said. "I think it'd be a real interesting exploration of a character, to have somebody who's dealing with an issue like that on screen." Grey's Anatomy star Kim Raver hints at what fans can expect as Season 22 returns tonight. If you thought Grey's Anatomy might return from its winter break with something calm and low stakes, let's be real, that was never going to happen. Season 22 returns tonight with Episode 7 Skyfall airing at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC, and according to Kim Raver, the drama is very much back in full force. In a new exclusive interview, the longtime fan favorite teased what viewers can expect, and it seems like the show is leaning hard into the emotional chaos that has defined it for more than 2 decades. Raver, who has played Dr. Teddy Altman since joining the series partway through season 6 in 2009, admitted that even she wasn't prepared for what's coming. She told US Weekly that when a couple of scripts came in, her immediate reaction was, "Oh, my God." Why? Because, as she put it, it gets messy and it is so Grey's Anatomy. Honestly, that alone tells fans everything they need to know. Table reads feel like watching the show. What makes these upcoming episodes especially exciting is how surprised the cast itself seems to be. Raver explained that during table reads, discoveries happen in real time. Sometimes, some of us are in scrubs, some of us are in our street clothes, and then suddenly major information drops. In those moments, she said, it's a shock and a surprise to all of us. That shared reaction creates a unique energy. Raver noted that the cast often feels like viewers in those moments, explaining, we are like the audience, too, before everyone looks around at each other thinking, this is really happening. Yep, that's the kind of reaction that usually leads to an episode fans won't stop talking about. It seems like season 22 is fully embracing that unpredictable, emotionally charged storytelling, the kind that doesn't just shock viewers but hits the characters and actors just as hard. Kim Raver is bringing big character moments and a cliffhanger. In addition to starring in the episode, Raver also directed episode 9, Fortunate Son, coming January 22nd, and she spoke with clear enthusiasm about being behind the camera. She shared that she feels so fortunate to have Debbie Allen as a mentor and added that, every time I get to direct another episode, I learn more. That growth, combined with what she described as an incredible crew and an amazing cast, clearly shaped the episode's tone. Thanks for watching this videos. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.